Chris, can we start with injury news? What's the latest on Jack Robinson and also Jayden Bogle?
Yeah, they're struggling for the weekend, so that's a blow for us. So yeah, we gain one and we lose one, so that's been a difficult situation to deal with. So and two influential players in the group. Jack, from obviously a leadership point of view, and I think Jayden's been, I would say, since definitely I've come back into the football club, one of our most outstanding players, and the way he's gone about his business in the Premier League. So yeah, disappointing.
You've said in recent weeks that it doesn't necessarily feel like you're in a relegation scrap at the moment, the way the players are performing. How much belief is there within the group that you can take this right down to the wire?
Yeah, that's got to be our aim, and that is the feel. Genuinely, what I'm saying to you guys, and what I feel regarding the group, and what I feel about the football club as well, and living in the city as well. So yeah, last weekend, 0-0 at half time against a good Premier League club that's established as well, 2 or 3 years in the Premier League, in a good position. Fantastic vocal backing that we had. You know, it felt like a home game for us, even though our supporters were stuck in that corner. So they're seeing it as much as I'm seeing it as well. So yeah, we want to take it down to the wire. We understand the importance of every game. We are, going into every game as the most, the biggest one, the most important. We're not looking ahead. I'm not looking ahead to midweek at Old Trafford or next weekend at Newcastle. All fully focused on, and the spirit around the place, and that comes off the back of, me managing, over 1,000 games. I've seen change rooms, what they're like when they're down. I've seen change rooms when they've been overconfident, and we're in a decent place in terms of the feel of it all.
It's been announced today that FA Cup replays are going to be scrapped next season, and that the final will be played before the end of the Premier League season. I know you're a traditionalist when it comes to the FA Cup. Just wondered what your views were on that.
Yeah, listen, as always, the game is dictated and dominated by the big boys, and the big boys don't want FA Cup replays, do they? So there'll be an argument that they're bringing all the money into the game. Being a traditionalist, what does that do to non-league clubs that get into the fairy tale world of round 3 and get a draw at home, and the financial implications that gives them by getting a draw at a big club, and what that does. There's been clubs that have had FA Cup runs and had replays that have financially benefited themselves for the next 3, 4 and 5 years. So as you well know, my pathway and my history, I've been at both ends of the scale, but for me, it's a great reward for the lower league clubs in earning that replay, to allow them either to go to the bigger clubs, whether it's a home game, or have that game at home against the bigger clubs as well. So I am a traditionalist, and I would have liked to have seen it kept the same, but the game is moving on, and obviously more minutes in a game and extra games, people are trying to push back against. So you have to go with what will get decided.
Thank you.
Chris, I hate to ask, but it's been a kind of the theme of the season, hasn't it, when Sheffield United have had injuries with Bogle and Robinson, because there's only a relatively short amount of games left. Are you hopeful they'll play again this season?
Yeah, we are. My frustration has been the soft tissue injuries. These boys, the 2 injuries are ankle ligament damages by falling. So that's been really unfortunate. Jayden gets into a great position on on Saturday, and we just expected him to get up and jog back, run back to the halfway line. And unfortunately, as you see, he comes off and he leaves the ground in a boot. And the same with Jack Robinson. Goes up for a header and lands awkwardly. So these are the ones that we can't really do anything about. We are frustrated, but obviously the most frustrating aspect is when we lose players from soft tissue injuries, when we lose players in training. Those are things that really do, hurt and something that we have to get over for next year.
And on that then, because I appreciate we've all touched on this sort of theme, what can be done in the short term that then they're obviously going to happen, but the volume of them be reduced?
Yeah, of course we have to look at the loads, and we have to look at everything that goes in, and there's been an awful lot. I know there's been an independent audit as well at the football club, so there's been an awful lot of review, reflection to make us better, because we certainly have to be better in a lot of things, from football point of view, from a tactical point of view, from a recruitment point of view, and definitely from the medical point of view, we have to have a more robust, durable squad that, as I keep saying, that gets coached on a regular basis, and availability has to go up. Last time in the Premier League, 19-20, availability for training, availability for playing was 90%. We're nowhere near that at the moment, and that will go a long way for us to have a successful season, whatever division we're in next year.
Yes, that presumably then will be part of when people like me ask you about profiling and transfer market. Injury record will come into it.
Absolutely, 100%.
Dare I ask if there's any positive news on the injury front? Because there hasn't been for a while.
Reintroduction back on the grass today of Daniel Jebison, which is good news. Ryan Brewster has been returned to training. This sort of stages, this sort of return to training, return to competitive action, and obviously finished that cycle as well. So Ryan's out of the physio room, and he's having pitch based stuff, and so is Daniel Jebison, which is good news. And the same with, I saw Tom Davis out there as well today as well. So he's back on the grass doing pitch based stuff. So whether the decision and date to put him in before the end of the season is taken or risked, then we'll sit down with the medical department and go through that and try and make sensible decisions.
Obviously, because you've mentioned Jebison there, the contract negotiations with him. Firstly, with regard to Jebo, has anything progressed with him or anybody else for whom there are options to be exercised?
Yeah, there's some options to be exercised. Obviously, I talked about Ben Osborne's option that we will exercise, and there's a couple in there at the moment that we're in the process of doing. And Daniel Jebison, I believe, is very close to agreeing, if not agreed. There's some small details in the contract that we'll obviously announce from a club point of view when he gets that pen in his hand and he signs for us. But we're very confident. Yet again, we've locked down another really good, promising young player. Asula again was good midweek. Brooks was good midweek in the under 21s as well. So. I've really got a smile on my face in terms of the future of the football club, in terms of the young players progressing, and please don't ask me any questions on Ollie Arblaster.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. Because
you going to on?
No,
Yeah?
I wasn't. No, I was going to ask you about Osula then, because he got the hat trick, didn't he, against Watford, and he's had a little less first team football recently, not none, but a little less. So I was going to ask where he sort of is in the more immediate picture.
Yeah, it's the balance, isn't it? And he's learning all the time. He's training with the first team. He's been involved. He's come on against Liverpool. So these are things. Time and patience is key for these young boys. And I said regarding Ivan Toney last week. All of a sudden, not all of a sudden he doesn't all of a sudden become off one season a 40, 50, 60 million pound player. That takes time, and we have to be patient. And I think in the past we've possibly made hasty decisions, or we've had to make decisions from a financial point of view to build to go again. And hopefully now that we'll be in a situation There's no desire from any of the board or the owner to cash in on our young players, so we can develop them a little bit more, take a little bit more time with them. Are they going to play 46 games next year or 38 games in the Premier League? No, but I'm not seeing a lot of really young players do that as well. They dip in, they dip out, they make the mistakes, they go through the highs and lows of being a young professional footballer, and they'll go through that process. And Will's on that early journey, but he's doing a lot of things right, as are a lot of the other young boys.
I really don't have any questions about Ollie Arblas
Fabulous.
this week. Yeah, next week maybe. We'll see how he goes on. So, well, Burnley then this weekend. Discuss them right now. How do you view them as an opposition?
Well, obviously the club had great battles with them last season, and they were worthy winners of the division. The difficulties of the Premier League. I think they had a more settled pre-season. I think that's maybe the best way of putting it than what we had. And like us, they found it difficult, and they found results difficult to come by. But picked up of late, been competitive, taken the beatings when they've had to take the beatings, and like we have, and shown signs of positive performances that have led to positive results recently as well. So, for me, there's no difference in terms of how we approach this game to how we approached our last home game against Chelsea. Very technical players. We obviously know their players well, and we obviously know one of them really well. So, it's both teams are after 3 points. I think we all realise where we are with that. We're in it to win it, and so will they be. As I said, they picked up points recently. We've not picked up enough points, I believe, our performances have deserved recently. So we need to play well. We need to show all the qualities that we've shown recently in the games, and marry up, decent performances with a big result. And that's what we're there to try and get.
The one that you know very well, of course, is Sander. Had a big impact here at times, didn't he?
Yeah, I've got to say I didn't see at times the criticism levelled at him by certain supporters. Came a fabulous period for us. We tried to get him at the start of the season. We managed to get him in that period. He had a big end of the season. Played 6, played 8, played as 2 6s. I know there was talk that they made him into an 8 here. Well, they didn't really make him into an 8. He was an all-round really good midfield player, because I remember him scoring goals against Tottenham, I think it was, or Chelsea or whatever, as a high 8. So a good player. Obviously, the situation last summer was disappointing. I think from our point of view, something that we all can learn from in terms of allowing that situation to happen, for players to get into that situation. I understood why the club had to capitalise and cash in. It's not a great situation when players allow or are allowed to run their contracts down. I know they get into that situation, but I didn't like it. If anybody did that, and hopefully that won't happen going forward. But a great kid, a popular boy in the changing room, and for me, obviously when he was playing in the Championship, when he was at full tilt, the way he moved past players, the way he drove past players, his passing, he's a talented boy. Do I want him to play well Saturday? No. Do I want him to get results Saturday? No. Hopefully he gets a Sheffield United welcome as well. A little clap at the start, maybe. I'm not sure everybody will see it that way. And then it's game on. It's us against them. It's our football club against their football club, and we have to make it as difficult as possible for him and their players on the pitch. And I'm sure that sweet spot of our support between positive and not hostile, but just edging towards that uncomfortable feeling that we try to make other teams come into. I know certainly the last home game was a real positive result for us in the home game in the Championship, and that's got to be the feel. But obviously, it's got to be the feel set off by the attitude and the approach of the players.
Done.
Cheers.
Hi, Chris.
Demo.
Just one from me. The reverse fixture, 5-0 at Turf Moor, ushered in the end of the previous manager, Paul Heckenbottom. I just wondered what kind of progress you feel you've made since you came in following that.
Yeah, we feel we've addressed it a few bits. Listen, it's not where we want to be. I think it's been the inconsistency as well as carried on. I would have liked it to have been a lot more consistent. Obviously, some really disappointing days in there that we have to own and accept. And I've seen some really encouraging signs as well. So, it's for other people to address that and comment on that. We're in situ. As I said, we would have liked our points total to be better. But there's been certain good things and been certain things that have really frustrated us as well. So I think a mixed bag will possibly be the best way of putting it.